and welcome to another Supernaturally Healthy Live. And today, in this week's kind of free mini training workshop, I'm going to actually be sharing with you a little bit more about my story, specifically to do with my journey with irritable bowel syndrome and all the different symptoms that came along with that. So today I'm going to dive in deep into what my symptoms were like at the worst, what were kind of the triggers that got me to do something about it, and what are some of the helpful things that I found really, really useful in terms of creating a normal, happy belly and therefore a happy body. And in between, I'll talk about why your digestive health and your belly health is so important. It really, really is. And so I'm just going to share a little bit about that journey with you. And if throughout the information, throughout this little workshop, if you feel like, oh, I'd love to know more about this, or maybe you have IBS, maybe you've been diagnosed with it and it's driving you mad, or maybe you don't have that official diagnosis, but you're bloated all the time, you feel your tummy feels uncomfortable and sore, you feel like you're intolerant to foods, but you're not really quite sure, or maybe you feel like you eat a healthy diet, but your tummy is still super weird, and maybe you even have some symptoms that you're a bit embarrassed of, maybe you fart all the time or your poos are just super weird. I am the queen of poo chat. I was in my mastermind today and we decided my name should be the Gut Goddess because I love all things gut, all things digestion, all things poo, all things hormones. And so you are in a safe place here. Don't be embarrassed about any symptom that you have. I'm going to share with you my story. And I've been there and done that when it comes to all the embarrassing symptoms one can have. But if this is your first video with me or your first Facebook Live with me, maybe I've just kind of stumbled across your Facebook feed. I am Kezia Hall. I am based in Scotland. I'm a holistic health coach, nutritional geek, and gut goddess. I love helping people to get their digestive health back on track so that their hormones, their joy, their fertility can be completely aligned with them. So that's a little bit about me. If you want to find out more, feel free to do some like Facebook stalking or internet stalking. You can find out more at supernaturallyhealthy.co.uk. And if you are watching this and you think, oh, this would be really useful for so-and-so, please share the video with them. These are free resources, training resources that I do every single week. I always try and supply another free material for you to download. So do feel free to share these or tag your friends below. And if you have any questions at all, do feel free to ask me in the comments below. I'm just trying to just make sure actually that I've got the comments section up so I can see any comments that you post. So I am going to kick off. I'm just checking. Yes, I can see your comments. Brilliant. So if you like this, then feel free to share. And if you want to know more, then also head over to the link above and make sure you join me for next week's Beat the Bloat workshop. I'm going to be spending 90 minutes going super deep into this stuff and sharing with you a 5-step process that I've used, that my clients have used, that I use time and time again, that helps people to beat the bloat, helps them to ditch the IBS, ditch the stuff going on in their body and create a happier and flatter belly. Not because they've done crunches or sit-ups, because they've actually gotten to the root cause and they've created health from the inside. That is one of the most important things that you can do, is create health from the inside out. So if you want to find out more, then do make sure you join me. Click the link above to the Beat the Bloat workshop. It's a free training workshop that I'm doing, which will be super fun. So let's start this story. Let's start at the very beginning. So for me, I got told I had IBS I think I was like 15 or 16, so I was still at school, but really from early childhood, I've always had stomach issues. So I remember I have not so fond memories of going to the hospital and to the doctor regularly for mysterious stomach problems that I had. And obviously they checked it was nothing too serious, didn't come to any conclusions. So throughout early childhood, really, from earliest ages, I remember feeling ill and having stomach issues. What I mean by that was pain in my stomach, feeling nauseous, having funny poos. From probably the earliest memory I have of that is probably around like 7 or 8. That was when it began for me. And then it kind of continued as I grew, entered teenage years. And it was only when I was about 15 or 16 that the doctors at the time decided that it would be irritable bowel syndrome. So let's talk about the title of irritable bowel syndrome for a second. It's really important, and this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it because it's so important, that if you have any digestive symptoms that are new, that you've not experienced before, and you've not discussed it with your local GP, physician, main healthcare provider, you need to discuss it with them. Some of the symptoms of irritable bowel syndromes are similar symptoms to more serious diseases, so don't just self-diagnose. Make sure you go and see a doctor to just check it out, check out the different symptoms. So I'm going to assume you've done that, and we've all got our common sense hats on. But the diagnosis of IBS is not really a diagnosis. It's a diagnosis of exclusion, meaning basically they've excluded things like colon cancer, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, celiac disease, many other different things. And they give you this label of irritable bowel syndrome when they've excluded this other stuff. And to be honest, they're not really sure what it is, but they know it's not life-threatening, which is good. It's good to know, not life-threatening. But for many of us, it can be really debilitating, annoying, frustrating. I've had so many clients that have come to me, and they've been in similar positions, actually. They've not had since a child, they've had funny tummies. It's not been quite right. And then now by the time they're in their early 30s, they are sick to death of either having chronic diarrhea, of going to the toilet being this complete drama, of constant reflux, indigestion. It's not directly linked with IBS traditionally, but in my head it is. It's all the gut. And people get so sick of it, and it can be so painful. So if you think I got diagnosed as about 15 or 16, head into university years, and I just remember being sad, sick, and stuck on the toilet. So by this point, I developed depression, which is very common with gut health issues. There's lots of research around your gut health and your mental health, because for instance, serotonin, that really yummy neurotransmitter that we need, is produced mainly on our gut. And there is lots and lots of research, that I won't go into detail, about the links between gut health and mental health. So unsurprisingly, by the time I became became a student and in my undergrad, many years ago, depression had begun, and the pain was getting pretty debilitating, to the point where I'd suddenly get like an onset of spasms and cramps. And then I would just have to sit in the bath all night, and that was it. I wouldn't be going out with friends. Evening plans were kaput. By this point, also things like thrush had begun. Hormonal issues, had always had issues with that, but they started to get worse. Disappearing periods, just weirdness, but lots of pain, kind of periods just all over the place. At which point I got put on the pill, which for me personally made it even worse, and my mental health even worse. And this was this kind of ongoing trajectory. And it was really when I was roughly about 20, when I realized that I just had enough, and that I was sad, sick, and stuck on the toilet, and enough was enough. And to be really honest with you guys, at this point, some of the symptoms were awful. I was having chronic diarrhea every day. So I was going to the toilet probably 6 times a day-ish, maybe more, maybe less. Probably more. And sometimes it was to the point of incontinence. Like, I was scared to leave the house, because I wasn't, to new places. If I didn't like going to new places, if I didn't know where the toilet was, because my bowels were so erratic, so all over the place. And I was just left feeling really embarrassed. I didn't tell anyone for years. And then it was only maybe when I was about 19 that I told my mum, because something not fun had happened, and she'd had to come and pick me up. And I'd finally told her, and she was so lovely, but was like, this isn't normal. You need to go and talk to someone about this. So I would encourage you, really, I know symptoms like diarrhea or thrush, or even things like depression, or maybe constipation, or really stinky farts. I've had lots of clients that will just secretly say to me, oh, and I have really bad farts, like clear the room farts, foul farts. These in our culture are embarrassing things to talk about, but I want to encourage you to not be embarrassed about them. Sure, you don't have to go and talk to every single person about it, but it's not your fault. It's you being bloated, you looking pregnant, you all of these things aren't a personal failing. You don't need to be embarrassed by it. And I know for me that I was for years and years, and that stopped me from getting the help that I needed to move forward and to heal and to just live a normal, fun life. So I know this stuff can be awkward to talk about, or a little bit embarrassing, but believe me, there is There is nothing I haven't heard in my practice as a holistic health coach and in helping people heal their gut and their relationship with food. So the 2021 was really when I hit my sort of rock bottom, and I realized, because I had these big dreams of, like, I wanted to travel the world, but I was struggling to get off the toilet and I lived in Dundee at the time, in Dundee, Scotland. There was no way I was going to survive India or Cambodia or where else did I want to go? I wanted to go to Thailand. I wanted to go to, but like all these exotic places. I just knew there was no way my health and my body was going to survive that if it can't even survive on like dull British food. And that was when I realized I needed to do something about it. And that really spurred sort of the whole journey of nutrition and sorting out my tummy and learning about my body and learning how to heal and learning the importance of gut health. So that is a little bit really of my story. And then the last 10 years has just been me learning more and more, healing my gut, bringing balance there, not being embarrassed about health issues and symptoms that have gone on. There's no shame in symptoms that you have. All your symptoms are just your body communicating to you. It's just communication. It's, you need to take them seriously. You need to take action. You need medical advice. But from another level, another way of thinking about it is that it's communication. It's the language of your body. And we have the responsibility to learn that language, to learn what it's saying, to learn to give our bodies what it needs. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. You don't need to be embarrassed about the bloating or the farts or whatever it is. And I used to get so bloated, guys. Like I used to have people, if I was having like an episode, I would have people like stop me in the shops and be like, "Oh, when are you due? That's so exciting." And I was just always like, sometimes if I was feeling like all ballsy and with it, I'd be like, "I'm not pregnant." And other times it was just easier to go along with it and be like, "Oh yeah, in 3 months." Oh, it's going to be great. And just being like, "Oh my gosh, I don't even have a boyfriend, never mind pregnant." And so it's not unusual. And I know so many people that's the case. So when it comes to actually helping you on your own IBS journey, or maybe you don't have IBS, but maybe you're just bloated all the time and you're sick to death of it, or your poos are really weird and you're sick to death of it, or you just feel like your health is really off, I first encourage you, don't be embarrassed about your symptoms and your health. Get the help that you need. Then the first thing that I did that really helped me is I started to look at my nutrition and my diet. And especially when we're talking about your gut health and we're talking about bloating and digestion and that whole system, food is the thing that interacts directly with that whole passageway and system. So it's really, really important that we that we are mindful of what we're eating. For me, and for a lot of my clients, foods like dairy, gluten, sugar, soy, sometimes eggs can be really problematic and cause that body to have the response. But this isn't about following a blanket rule. This is about finding out what works for you. And if you want to know more about that and the nutritional aspects and the lifestyle aspects that you can follow, then do make sure you join me for my Beat the Bloat workshop next week. It's going to be a free 90-minute workshop where I really kind of dive in deep, really get really detailed, a little bit geeky, but just in simple bite-sized things are the 5 things that you can implement to really, really help you beat the bloat and sort out your energy and your health and your belly, because your gut health affects everything. It affects your hormones, it affects your fertility, your skin. If you're struggling with adult acne, then you need to get on this workshop. You really, really do. If you're struggling with hormonal imbalances, you need to get on this workshop, because your gut health is an essential part of your overall health. If you can get your gut health sorted, you will change the rest of your health 100%. And it's really, really important, because your gut health it's one of those things that is really, really fundamental in terms of helping you see the results that you want to see. It's not just about having a flat belly, although that can happen. It's actually about your whole body health and really impacting that. So I have a few client stories, and so I'll just share. Yes, I'll share this one with you. So I was working with a client. I actually had a client session this morning with someone, and what we were trying to do was just get her to digest fats properly. She has had ME, and loads of other health problems. But actually, I know that we need to get her digesting fats and digesting foods properly because she'd had her gallbladder removed, and to just focus on that first because that affects everything else. It really, really does. So I hope that's been helpful in terms of sharing with you my own IBS journey. And I hope that you feel a bit less embarrassed. You know, horrible, clear, like farty farts that clear the room. Been there, done that. Chronic diarrhea, been there and done that. I've also had constipation as well. Years later, constipation was an issue. So also been there and done that. Incontinence, been there and done that. Looking pregnant and being asked if I'm pregnant because I'm so bloated after a meal. Been there and done that. So many different things. So don't be embarrassed about your health journey. And if you do want to take action, if you are ready to create a happier and flatter belly, then join me in the workshop because it's going to be so much fun. I'm going to be able to go into much more detail and share with you resources, and it's just lots and lots of fun. But if you have any other questions, then do feel free to ask me in the comments below. I'm not sure the comment section is working, so I can't currently see them, but feel free to ask me any questions that you have. Otherwise, I'm going to be sharing a couple of more short videos over the next couple of days all about IBS and how you can create one happier and flatter belly and beat the bloat, sort out your tummy and feel the best ever. Because that's really what this is all about. This isn't just about not being bloated for just the sake of not being bloated. Being bloated is a sign of inflammation in your body. It's a sign of, it's a message from your body going, hey, I need a bit of attention. That's what bloating is. And so we need to pay attention to that. It's not just a symptom. It's not normal to be bloated every night. To be bloated maybe once a year after Christmas dinner, perhaps. But every night is not normal. So if you're ready to do something about it, make sure you join me for the workshop. Otherwise, if you have any other questions or any other topics you'd love to know about, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Lots of love. Bye.